Hey everyone, it's Strategy Gaming Dojo here, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. And I just wanted to make everybody aware that the John Tiller Software summer sale is on. And what does that mean? Well, between June 15th, so we're a little late, but between June 15th to June 30th, all of the games that are 1 year or older in his inventory is now $10 off. So usually they're 39. You could now get them for 29. This is the semi-annual sale. They have a summer one, they have a winter one, and right now is obviously the summer one, unless I'm completely mistaken. No, it is the summer sale. $10 off. John Tiller Software. If you're not familiar or if you're vaguely familiar, what is it? And first of all, I would like to also say, John Tiller passed away recently. He's an absolute legend of the wargaming community. He, in many ways, pioneered a lot of the things that we now play today and how they're played in hex and counter systems. I guess in his last few months, he did want to provide for the company continuing on. They totally had his blessing to continue on. He wanted it. He made kind of a secession plan to keep his namesake out there. And so anyway, they have continued on. They're putting out new product pretty regularly. I mean, every month or two. So what is John Tiller Software? Well, he covers dang near every human engagement and warfare between pike and musket, all the way up to fanciful Cold War gone hot scenarios, World War III style in the 1980s. And every single one of his games has about 200 to 300 scenarios. They usually have 4 or 5 campaigns. And believe me, those individual scenarios could have thousands and thousands of units and up to 200 to 250 turns. Now, you can also play smaller scenarios where you've got, 10 turns and 50 units on the map, but, maybe even less. So it's kind of everywhere in between, from massive, massive scale, almost to the size of a war in the East, all the way down to individual battles. And he covers everything from, I was talking about musket and pike. Here's musket and pike, 7 Years' War, the Renaissance. He covers that. Napoleonics. Now, there are a lot of people that play John Tiller Napoleon games. I think he far and away has covered the topic more than any other war game company out there, war game software out there. You just can't find these scenarios anyplace else. The Peninsular Campaign, Bayonets on the Rhine, Campaign Marengo, the Peninsular War, Campaign 1814. I mean, they cover it all, and each one of these, like I said, has 200 to 300 scenarios. Civil War is actually a favorite of mine. I really think that he covers the Civil War better than anyone, including board games that are out there. Campaign Shenandoah, Petersburg, Overland, Chancellorsville, Antietam. Now, I will point out, I did a Let's Play tutorial for Campaign Antietam on the channel. If you search for it, that goes through, it shows you all of the mechanics, movement, firing, command structure, all of the different mechanics of the game. And I can tell you, if you learn those mechanics, they are applicable to, every other John Tiller game. It's always the same mechanics. 95% of them are the same. Now, of course, you're going to have a few little differences between, let's say, Napoleonics, and World War II, just to keep up with the motorized nature. But essentially, motorized are kind of treated like cavalry are in the Napoleonics. Now, you may say, well, that's not realistic. It's just the mechanics I'm talking about. Now, obviously, those units will have less firepower back in the Napoleonic days. They can't fire as often. Don't do as much damage. The cavalry can't move as fast as panzers, etc., etc. But you push kind of the same buttons, and so once you learn the basic uh, mechanics of a Tiller game, you can play them all, and it just opens up so many possibilities. Because I mean, I'm still going. These are just Civil War, right? He's also covered World War One. He's covered early American wars, Mexican American, French and Indian. You just can't find this stuff anyplace else. And they're great games. Let's just go look at the what is this? The Mexican, I believe, Mexican American War. Now, don't get turned off by those graphics because this is one of his older games, and he's actually in the Panzer campaigns. Let me just show you that because that gives a much better representation. Now, this is way zoomed out. You can zoom down into these individual units. You can play it all with NATO counters. You see the mini map here, how many units you're dealing with. Now, this is Panzer Campaigns Kiev 1943. So it's the Soviets trying to get across the Dnieper, obviously, the Germans trying to defend against that crossing. Looks like the Soviets have already gotten across the river. Not good news for the Germans. But these games are just fantastic. Now, the two complaints about John Tiller games, one is the graphics, and they have now, even the older games, they've updated to what they call their gold standard. They're just like looking at a board game. Look, it's not Call of Duty, right? You're not going to get those kind of graphics, but they are now passable to play as if you're looking at a board game. They're hex and counter. This is in the Ardennes Forest, I believe. This is the Battle of the Bulge. You see the American line here. Again, you can zoom in more levels than this and get right down onto the counters. So don't say, oh, well, gosh, this will make me go blind. You can zoom in, zoom out, etc. You see it's got, nice little graphics here for the different units and whatnot. But you know, so the graphics were one complaint, but there's a whole, studio that's taken over improving the hex and counter graphics. The other complaint is the AI. Now, I will admit the AI was very, very weak in early Tiller games. They now do something called AI Challenge, where they have certain scenarios where the AI has been optimized as much as they feel like they can, and they will give you a challenge. They're good practice, but ultimately these games are meant to be played against other humans. Luckily, online there are a lot of different groups that facilitate that. You can find matchups, whether it be Napoleonics, World War II, Civil War. Heck, you can find it out there if you want to play another human, and that's really the best way to play these games. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that if you were holding off or you're just like, I don't know if it's worth 40 bucks, they are now $29.99 if they're over a year old on the John Tiller website, John Tiller Software. So anyway, this has been Strategy Gaming Dojo. Have a good one. I'll talk to you next time.